Moscow, Russia. After getting my visa for $75 and waiting 5 days, I was ready to board Aeroflot as my introduction to Russian hospitality. I would be taking a red-eye flight leaving Budapest at 11:30 p.m. and arriving to Moscow bright and early at 4 a.m. to start my 5-day tour to 5 cities with Moscow as my introduction to Russia. Ticket to Moscow, I'm gonna go on Aeroflot for the first time and take the 2.5-hour flight. I would be flying to one of the 3 Moscow airports. This one was called Sheremetyevo, or SVO. The newspapers upon boarding reminded me of Cuba with the president's face on the front cover. I love the uniforms on this airline.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. My name is Zaryadye Park. Welcome aboard airport. Our flight today is from Budapest Transit International to Moscow Sheremetyevo. The flight time will be 2 hours 15 minutes. I'm sure you'll enjoy flight with Airflot. Thank you for choosing us. I wish you a pleasant stay on board.
Goodbye Budapest and good morning Moscow. After sleeping 1 hour on the flight, I was ready to start my discovery of a new city. Luckily, no taxi drivers bothered me. Welcome to Moscow. I gotta take the night bus. It comes right here to this stop. It will be here in about 5 minutes. The night bus came as scheduled at 4:30 a.m. and would take me directly to Red Square. Michael on the bus would help me orientate myself upon arrival to Red Square by showing me the Kremlin and the metro station. It just took about 1 hour and we made it to downtown. Red Square is just around the corner?
Yes.
Alright, I'm excited about this. And around the corner, there it was. So this is it, huh? Normally this place was crowded, but at 5:30 a.m. the place was empty. We finally found that place. It's actually inside here. It was too early to visit, so I would return later. Looking through the gate, it was my first sight of the Cathedral of Vasily the Blessed, also known as St. Basil's Cathedral. And then here we have the famous Red Square. Here we have the Four Seasons Hotel, and I went in to check on it and it cost $536 for one night. The Four Seasons Hotel is the most expensive hotel in all of Moscow, but location was prime. It was just a 5-minute walk to the entrance of Red Square. I got on the famous Moscow Metro to go meet my host. On board the metro, there was a female voice that was used both when leaving downtown or using the metro anti-clockwise. A male voice was used when traveling towards the city and clockwise. Let's listen in.
Осторожно, двери закрываются. Следующая станция Дубровка.
It was morning, so everyone was tired. My host would meet me upon arrival at his metro station, and we would go home to have breakfast before embarking on a city tour. What's this station here called?
Lublino.
Lublino station. And what's your name?
Igor.
And which city are you from?
Kirov.
Alright, how far is that from here?
More than 1,000 kilometers.
Oh wow. Is it colder?
Yeah.
I heard in Novosibirsk it's already snowing.
Yeah.
Wow. Only we have rain here. Thanks for picking me up at the station. So many apartments here. This was Moscow, a city of 17 million inhabitants. This neighborhood Russian Orthodox Church was a new 1 to 2-year-old building. I got to Igor's house here. He lives in an apartment flat here. What's your wife's name?
Oksana.
Oksana. She's from Ukraine.
Yeah.
For breakfast, I have tea. And what's the name of this one?
Napoleon.
And who made that one? She made it. What do you have for breakfast here?
Oatmeal with banana and milk.
Okay, and you?
Очень много фруктов.
Oatmeal, fiber and grapes.
Peanut butter inside, no?
Смородина,
Yeah.
виноград и паста.
After breakfast, we walked to the metro to head to Red Square. So now, after getting ready for the day, we're about 10:30 right now. We're gonna head to Red Square.
Yeah.
You say how long it takes? 30 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So now we're on our way to the metro station. In the metro, there was one station that had statues of soldiers with dogs. Touching the dog's snout was good luck, so everyone passing by stopped to touch the dog. Wow, this was really impressive. I never realized the statue could get so much attention from people passing by. The name of this station was Ploshad Revolutsii. There were 76 statues in this station, all made from bronze. This station was opened in 1938. We just got out of the metro system now. We got this theater on the other side. What's the small shops here for?
It's a traditional New Year market.
People stood here and threw coins into air for good luck. And then this guy picked up the coins with his magnet stick. He sure knew how to make money without begging. And then these guys got in trouble for making too much noise with their drums. Red Square was finally open, and there was a famous cathedral. I found out that on the 7th of November there would be a military parade using these vehicles.
It's Lenin.
Oh, here it is. Here we have Lenin's mausoleum. But do we know if it's open? Lenin's mausoleum was open every day from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. except Mondays and Fridays. Red Square was bustling with tourists, especially since today was the weekend. So what's that round thing over there?
It's a very interesting place, Red Square.
This place was where beheadings happened during the medieval period. This was like in the 1500s? So here are the two guys, Pozharsky and Minin.
Leader of the uprising.
Minin and Pozharsky were the leaders of the uprising who gathered an all-Russian volunteer army and expelled the forces of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth from Moscow, thus ending the time of troubles in 1612. The tourists just loved this area. In the front of St. Basil's Cathedral was a sign with the rules. No smoking, etc. But the list of things you could do, you could take pictures. Perfect. This was a true tourist site. At exactly 12 o'clock, the bell rang. This was Zaryadye Park, one of the most expensive parks in the world.
This park cost 14 billion rubles.
Oh, that's a lot. But it's so nice.
So expensive for our city.
There used to be a hotel here which was torn down, and they brought in dirt to build this mountain. This is a man-made mountain with man-made decorations. Rare species. It looks really rugged, you know? It looks really natural. They built this park in the middle of the city because there wasn't any other green areas for residents to enjoy. This was another feature of the park, an outdoor amphitheater complete with a glass roof in case it rains. But what about the performers on stage? When this place opened in 2017, many people came here to visit the park to see where the 14 billion rubles went. Do you think it's a success?
Yeah.
Yeah? What does this thing do?
It's a lighting box.
Oh, for night.
Yeah.
These were typical birch trees from Siberia. This is where families in Moscow went to spend the weekend. What are we gonna visit next?
It's a flying bridge or arrow bridge.
What did they call it in Russian?
Парящий мост.
And it means flying bridge?
Yeah.
The Patriarchy Bridge jutted halfway out over the river and gave a good view of downtown. This was a display of Russian flora and fauna, which was similar to Alaska. Russia, for me, was like a big Alaska. They made this area look like a natural habitat. They made this path that you could see forests from Russia. Back in Red Square, I met Michael. Start
what?
Okay, so I'm Jason. Your name?
Michael.
Okay, here we are at Red Square, and the weather's good. It's just getting cold,
Only a little bit.
but soon it'll be snowing. It'll be super cold. Yeah.
It was snowing a couple days ago.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll continue over there to visit a street. It was 1 p.m. and Lenin's mausoleum was closing its doors to visitors. So they're closing shop.
Because Lenin is tired already.
What's the difference on Sunday for English and Russian?
The difference is the English is a Sunday, day of sun, but Russian Sunday is the day of resurrection.
Around the corner, we went to visit the standing guards. They were so serious.
Times an hour, the soldiers will change to another, and they cannot move for the half an hour.
Oh, okay. So every 30 minutes they change.
Yeah, they cannot make some reaction.
No.
So just stone.
We entered the mall next to Red Square to find a place for lunch. We found Mumu, a cafeteria-style restaurant, perfect for lunch and very popular among the locals. The worker asked what you wanted, and then she scooped out a portion. Everything was a la carte. What's the restaurant called here? Famous?
Maybe. Mumu is sound what a cow produce.
That's why it's like this. What soup did you get?
Just soup.
I got vegetable soup.
This is candy.
Yeah?
Don't worry, it's cow, it doesn't meat. This is without meat. It's not a joke.
Really?
Because in China, I make candies with beef.
Oh, wow.
It's China.
Oh, man. So thanks for coming out. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I hope you have a good trip in Egypt and Sudan.
Yeah, thanks. I hope it will be.
Keep in touch. You'll enjoy the trip.
Yes, and don't afraid Russian beers.
No, I
Don't
won't.
forget, fight first.
Yeah. All right. Sounds
You'll
good.
survive.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So what about the weather?
Traditional St. Petersburg weather.
Oh, really?
In Moscow.
So when I get to St. Petersburg tomorrow morning, I might experience this again.
Yeah.
Back on the metro, going home.
Осторожно, двери закрываются. Следующая станция – Чкаловская.
That was a fun day in Moscow. Instead of having coffee, what do you drink instead?
I drink chicory.
Chicory?
Yeah.
What's the names of the train stations if you leave from Moscow to St. Petersburg?
If you live in Moscow, you sit in the train on St. Petersburg train station or Leningradsky Vokzal. And when you come to St. Petersburg, you get out train on the Moscow train station.
That's so funny. I can't believe they reversed the names. So it could confuse some people. I'm leaving from Moscow to St. Petersburg, and I'm leaving from St. Petersburg station to Moscow station.
Yeah.
It's like complete opposite
Yeah.
of what you're actually doing. But I won't encounter this in other cities, right?
Yeah.
After meeting with Igor, I left to visit the famous streets and meet with Olga, a Russian who didn't know any English. Здравствуйте.
Привет.
Yeah.
Hi, Jason.
Как тебя зовут?
Оля.
Меня зовут Jason.
My name is Ola.
Okay, good.
Oh.
Alright, what's the name of the street? The street's name?
Kuznetsky most.
There was Burger King and Krispy Kreme donuts in Moscow. Who's this statue? Sergei Prokofiev was a Russian Soviet composer and conductor who was regarded as one of the major composers of the 20th century. The buildings and lighting at night were incredible. We went into a grocery store, and it was more than I ever expected to see. They had a produce section, deli, and plenty of traditional Russian food items, but looking at the walls was incredible. It almost looked like a museum inside with the fancy art, decorative walls, and classical style ceilings. I'm so surprised we found the statue of Pushkin. He's so famous. I had first seen a statue of Pushkin in Asmara, Eritrea. I learned Pushkin's grandfather came from Eritrea, next to Ethiopia. I'm surprised that they just have paintings on the street side hung up on the walls. It looks so nice. We stopped here at Mumu. Yeah. And we ordered some kapusta and some chickpeas. Wow, now it's raining. You can never predict the weather in Moscow. Then it was back on the metro to head to the train station. Unlike some metro stations around the world, here it was okay to take photos. Walking out of the metro station, we arrived at the train station. This one? I said goodbye to Olga and I would board the train to St. Petersburg. I boarded my sleeper train and away I went on the 7-hour trip to St. Petersburg. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more adventures.